So in 2017, the FBI received reporting that Pitts was making statements espousing his support for al-Qaeda and also his actions against particular United States entities, his violent intentions, including the armed forces. And as we typically do when we receive this information, we do what? We open an investigation. We check it out. And that's exactly what we did here. In May, Pitts relocated to the Cleveland area, and the office here in the JTTF picked up the investigation. Over the next several weeks, Pitts continued to express his radical ideology and his desire to commit violence against the United States. Just last week, during an in-person meeting with our undercover agent, Pitts suggested words to the effect, "I did tell myself that their holiday is coming up, the 4th of July, Independence Day. What would hit them in the core? Blow up, have a bomb, blow up at the 4th of July parade."
We're back live, ladies and gentlemen. We're broadcasting worldwide. I'm Alex Jones, your host. The globalists are launching their operations of evil, trying to collapse borders, trying to bring the UN to stabilize countries once they collapse. This is in Reuters. This is in AP. Socialists are being put in charge of Mexico and New York City. They are going ahead with their plan. And now a radical Islamicist was arrested, reportedly planning to bomb the 4th of July parade in Cleveland, planning to target military men and women's families. Man who planned alleged attack on Cleveland wanted to give explosive-filled cars, little toy cars, to military children. You heard me right. This is the type, because the left always wants to suicide bomb kids, abort kids, dumb kids down, give them deadly vaccines, but then tell us we're bad if people are unaccompanied coming over the border, if we put them in a secure location in a protected shelter. It's amazing. Here's part of the press conference with the police this morning in Cleveland, Ohio.
We're here today to announce the arrest of Demetrius Nathaniel Pitts, also known as Abdur Rahim Rafiq. Pitts has been charged in a federal complaint with attempting to provide material support to a foreign terrorist organization. Pitts was placed into custody yesterday, Sunday, July 1st at approximately 10 a.m. by the Joint Terrorism Task Force agents and task force officers. The criminal complaint sets forth in detail the facts and circumstances of the investigation and also the attempted material support charge. If you have not received a copy of that complaint, you will so at the end of the press conference. So again, that 30-plus page complaint includes a lot of the details of this investigation, but I think it's important to just spend a few minutes and to go over some of the highlights for you. So in 2017, the FBI received reporting that Pitts was making statements espousing his support for al-Qaeda and also his actions against particular United States entities, his violent intentions, including the armed forces. And as we typically do when we receive this information, we do what? We open an investigation. We check it out. And that's exactly what we did here. It was initially opened out of our Cincinnati field office because Pitts resided in the Southern District of Ohio. And it was also worked in coordination with the United States Attorney's Office in the Southern District of Ohio. So Pitts' statements of violent intentions continue to cause concern during the investigation as he expressed a willingness to conduct a U.S.-based attack and also his desire in wanting to join a foreign terrorist organization. His Facebook posts, quite frankly, were disturbing. They included verbiage that had words to the effect, "We as Muslims need to start training like this every day. We need to know how to shoot guns, throw hand grenades, hand-to-hand combat." An FBI undercover agent was introduced to Pitts in an effort to further determine whether Pitts was in fact a threat to national security. His extensive criminal history, including felonious assault, domestic violence, aggravated robbery, and carrying a concealed weapon, furthered our reason for concern. In May, Pitts relocated to the Cleveland area, and the office here in the JTTF picked up the investigation. Over the next several weeks, Pitts continued to express his radical ideology and his desire to commit violence against the United States. Just last week, during an in-person meeting with our undercover agent, Pitts suggested words to the effect, "I did tell myself that their their holiday is coming up, the 4th of July, Independence Day. What would hit them in the core? Blow up, have a bomb, blow up at the 4th of July parade. During communications with the undercover agent, Pitts indicated he would travel downtown and conduct reconnaissance of Voinovich Park and the U.S. Coast Guard station for the purpose of taking photographs and videotape footage. He further, the day or thereafter, walked downtown, all over the downtown, and surveilled these entities, Voinovich Park and the U.S. Coast Guard station, in addition to other locations that had previously been discussed. Additional conversations with extremely concerning statements of intentions made by Pitts are specified in the federal complaint, and they include topics such as hatred for the military, wanting to chop off heads and hands, and disposing of bodies. A final meeting occurred on Sunday morning, as I mentioned yesterday, where the undercover and Mr. Pitts had a lengthy conversation. Pitts again, on his own, expressed his allegiance to Al-Qaeda, his desire to participate in a terror attack on July 4th in Cleveland, Ohio, his desire to kill military personnel and their families, his desire to kill federal and local agents, and his desire to commit a future attack at a date to be determined in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, an area he once resided. At the conclusion of the meeting, Mr. Pitts was arrested. He will be appearing before a U.S. magistrate later today. I think everyone in the room knows this, but this case illustrates that law enforcement, of course, cannot sit back, in this case, wait for Mr. Pitts to commit a violent act. We don't have the luxury of hoping that an individual decides not to harm someone or get others to act, especially when his continued repeated intentions were to do just that. The Joint Terrorism Task Force, the city, the partners are working every day to detect, deter, and prevent terrorist attacks. That is by far our collective #1 priority to keep the public safe from all known threats. So I'd like just to take a minute to commend the men and women, and some of which are represented over there. And again, there's many in this room behind the cameras. They're every bit as critical to the work we do each and every day. We also had assistance from the Maple Heights and Garfield Heights Police Department and other, of course, and other entities. Just their hard work, dogged determination throughout the last year and a half. And it's what they do each and every day, behind the scenes, to try to protect us all. This investigation also, we collectively believe, demonstrates that commitment, but also underscores the importance of differentiating between lawful, peaceful exercise of First Amendment rights that we all cherish, and criminal acts and violent desires of a select few, such as Mr. Pitts, who seek to do our community and our country harm. Lastly, I would just like to give a shout out and thank the public. The public, as you'll see in the complaint, provided at least a piece of information that furthered this investigation. It just further illustrates how critical that is. All the partners up here, I know Chief Williams would echo this in a second, and Colonel Pride and others. It is the relationship with the public. It's relying on information each and every day that allows us to do our job. I think this case also illustrates that partnership, not just among the agencies here, but between the public and between the media as well.
So this guy was telling people for over a year how he was planning to blow up the 4th of July parade coming up, and how he was planning it, and how he wanted to give toy cars with explosives in it to children. Now, whether he should be in a mental institution or prison, if he did it, which looks like he did, is up to be determined. The point is this atmosphere where there are so many cases of calling for violence, so many cases for killing ICE members or firebombing their locations or killing police, and CNN during the whole Black Lives Matter thing, remember? And MSNBC, they would have random cops in a whole other jurisdiction, a whole other state, would get shot in the back while changing a tire, pumping gas, responding to an event. And then the media would say, well, the police need to clean up their act, you know. It's the police and these shootings that are causing the public to be angry. So if you really thought a cop shot somebody wrong, and in most of the cases they hadn't, just a fact, We looked at them all in detail. Then you go after that person. And still that's not through the courts, but there's some logic, at least, if you think somebody shot your son in the back and killed him for no reason and then justice didn't happen, then you go after him. I'm not saying do that. But you go to, like, another state and shoot some random cop pumping gas because some other cop did something you didn't like, that's leftist mental illness craziness. But the bigger issue is, why was CNN and others promoting it, saying you got what you deserved? Because they're trying to foment a violent revolution to bring the country down so they can take over because they're pissed America's coming back.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
He goes to jail. He goes to jail. Lock him up.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
This 4th of July is special. Everybody can see it. They can feel it. The globalists are attempting to kill a worldwide awakening to their tyranny. And America, yet again, is at the heart of the resistance to the globalist. That's why this 4th of July, I'm asking all of our great supporters to think about InfoWars now more than ever. And what would the world be like if InfoWars wasn't there resisting the globalist? What would have happened if you hadn't supported InfoWars? We would not be having the victories we have today. So yes, a lot of good things are happening, but the enemy is striking back. So please, think about InfoWars and funding our operation while you get great products at the same time on this 4th of July that's so historic. We have record sales going on right now, free shipping on hundreds of different items. More than 20 items are 50% off, like Brain Force Plus, X2 is 40% off, Knockout Sleep Aid, $17.76, Silver Bullets, $9.95 colloidal silver, and free shipping. You can't beat that. This 4th of July is special, and our sales are special to match it. InfoWarsStore.com.